Hello everybody. Today, it's been another week. We're going to check on our worms for the first time last week. And if you caught last week's update, you'll know that we're really getting close to the 2-month marker. Or now I guess we're past the 2-month marker on this bottom tier, essentially in production, in use. And last feeding, it got pretty full in here. I don't want to say completely full, but it's definitely getting fuller and fuller. So we're on the fence about when we're going to start transitioning up to the next tier. Today might be the day, I'm not sure. But I want to check, like we always do, the top tier and see if anybody, or a lot of them, let's say, have migrated up on their own. Because I think that's something to keep in mind. Now on here, no major changes, so that's good. Moisture content seems to be holding steady. It definitely kind of has that coffee ground vibe, but I'm definitely, okay, well this is interesting. Look how many guys are over here. Interesting. I see some over here as well. Okay, I'm not really sure what we're doing up here, but they're here. All right, well, this is interesting. That's more than a few of them. I'm just gonna push them down gently because I don't want them to get squashed when I put the cover back on. That's more than a few guys. Definitely more than a few guys. So I'm gonna go ahead, cover this back up. And then we're going to take a look at the bottom. See? Alright, but I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's not a lot of people up here, so that's good. They're not trying to make a break for it. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright, well, I don't 100% know what this white bulbous thing here is, so I'm just going to pick it up in case it's some kind of bad guy eggs. I don't know. Now, if you remember from last week's update, we fed them on this right hand side, and as always, I put some of the shredded cardboard paper in it to help cover it, cover up the food scraps and prevent the bugs from coming in. I'm going to pull you guys in so we can see how this is going. I want to just check this far left side because it's definitely very dense feeling. That's really the best way I could put it. Oh, hey, look at all these worms. What you guys doing? Yeah, definitely plenty to do over here for them, but it definitely feels very heavy, if that makes sense. Oh wow. Hey everybody. Okay. So I'm not really seeing a lot of food over there, but they're in that area. So that's interesting. And move some of this dried pieces over. And then I want to just check the middle, because that's where the majority of the feedings have happened. Okay. Still, I feel like there's just worms everywhere. Like I haven't found a spot where I didn't move stuff and there wasn't a lot of worms. So I think that's good, but also like, is there too much thing as overcrowding for worms? I don't know. Now this right side where we fed them, and also I'd like to point out probably before I pull up too much, this is still pretty full. Like even though I've loosened a lot of this is still pretty full. But this cardboard on top feels pretty dry over here, which I guess is good. Now this last feeding that we gave them had a lot of potato peels, sweet potato peels, kind of stuff that takes them a little bit longer to break down normally. So I'm not surprised that it's not the most popular spot in the bin. It's not the funnest feeding. Okay. Not seeing a lot over here yet. not seeing a lot of guys over here. Let's see. I mean, there's definitely some guys over here, but you know, who wants potato peelings after all? I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I feel like I almost don't want to feed them this week. You know, just be like, no, you got plenty of food in here. It's so crazy that on this left side where I haven't fed them, there's a pile of them. And then over here where there's food, I don't know, they just haven't migrated over to it. What to do? Alright, so I have my regular feeding bag, and truthfully, this is mostly bananas this week, like banana peels, I should say. So I think what I'm going to do is just layer in some banana peels. Just kind of let them sit on the top because they decompose so quickly, and I feel like they're a fave of everybody in the worm community. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a nice little layer of banana peels on the top, but focusing more on, oops, this shouldn't be in there. Focusing more on the right side where I'm trying to convince our little friends to go. Let's see, I'll pull the camera back in a second so you can take a look what we got. Okay, there we go. How's that look? It's mostly on the right side. And like always, I'm going to cover it with some shredded paper, some shredded cardboard, just so it's not as easy for our flies to get to, which I really do think is why I've been so fortunate to not have the number of, I guess, fruit flies, any of the flies really, that we have had, or we have heard people have had problems with. We've been pretty fortunate. Like there's a few little flies here and there, but they're not really active until you open the container up, so that's why I don't really worry about them. I'm gonna try to I want to put enough to cover it, but not too much, if that makes sense. Because when I opened the container up this week, it was so obvious that this right side was not even saturated at all, which, you know, could be good, could be bad, but like I said, I think when you're really in there, it's just so dense feeling. That's really the best word I can think of right now. So, kind of fed them, kind of didn't. I think I might do like a midweek check-in with these guys and see how they're doing with those banana peels since they are closer to the top. Because if I'm seeing them brave enough to come up to the top to eat the food, then that means that they're looking for food, I think. And therefore they might be more inclined to come up to the next level. But now I don't really want them to come up to that top level if there's a whole bunch of unfinished food scraps down here, you know. So I guess we're not migrating this week, which is totally fine. But maybe next week. So let me know if you guys have ran into the situation where you've fed the worms and it was not their favorite mac and cheese ever, and they just kind of took their time with it. Did you keep feeding them? Did you wait? I'd be curious to know. I think this whole time, that's probably the most unfinished food I've seen them eat ever. So I'm definitely curious to know what that could be about. But I also know that if the area was just too much for them, you know, by the time this stuff gets put in here, I think they could easily crawl up if they wanted to. So I don't think that we're in a spot where they can't get up, because obviously, you know, we saw guys up here. So interesting. Well, looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this feeding. Until next week.